Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another subscriber form review. Today we're going to be looking at Wesley. He went ahead and sent over some videos of him warming up for a top set of 5 with 315 on squats. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, so starting with one plate, nice and light. I know Wesley gave me some background as far as he's been lifting for a short amount of time. He's getting signed up for his first meet coming up here in a couple months. The first thing I notice, which is he's doing a really good job at being consistent on his walkout and deliberate even with light weights, right? So a plate and a half, he could obviously throw around, but I like how he's taking his time to have the perfect setup each time. So that's really good. Good job with that. Right, so we're up to 2 plates. Still looking pretty good. One thing that I am noticing is as you start your descent, you kind of push your head back and look up a little bit, which isn't inherently a bad thing. But what it can do is it can slightly overarch your back. And if you look at the bottom of your squat, you actually have to unlock that arch in order to hit depth. Sometimes people will call this butt wink. But I think by setting your head a little more neutral, you can lock your back in a more neutral position and maybe not have to release that tension, if that makes sense. So now you're up to your top set with 315, still looking pretty easy. Maybe the other thing that I would mention, and we'll watch this set, really pay attention to your heels. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, you come up a little bit on your toes. It's not a ton, but you can see the weight shift to the front of your foot. And I'll be honest, I struggle with this myself, but really try and focus on planning 3 points of contact. One being your heel, one being your big toe, and then the other being your pinky toe. And really kind of externally rotate those into the ground and keep full contact with the ground as you're squatting. This will help not just with your balance, but with your power transfer. All right, so this is just that last set over again in some slow motion so that we can take a look. So as I had mentioned, you kind of start by arching your back before you descend, and I think that's because you're being very cognizant of, not rounding your back to squat. You could potentially set your hips and hinge backwards. Check out like a hip hinge video on squats to do that. And then my other small critique, other than the toes, is you're rushing possibly your breaths. Whenever I listen to this with the audio, you were just taking like little right before you descended, and maybe that was to save some energy, but I prefer personally to, take your time at the top, breathe out, and then get a big breath and a brace. And if you're curious about this, check out my other video on how to brace for a squat and deadlift to hopefully help you out. So that'll do it for today's video. Overall, great squatting from Wesley here. Looking good. Hopefully these tips helped. If anyone else wants an overview of their form, please send them my way. And until next time, happy lifting.